What's going on, Packer fans? Happy game day. Welcome into the Pack a Day podcast. I'm your host, Andy Herman. You can follow me on Twitter at Andy Herman NFL. We finally made it to actual football. We finally made it to Blake Bortles making his Green Bay Packers debut. Of everything that happened this week, from elevating a long snapper on trade deadline day to the Rodgers drama to just about everything else you could possibly imagine, we barely got to talk about the fact that Blake Bortles is back as a Green Bay Packer, and he will be in Packers uniform on Sunday, which seems absolutely crazy and surreal. Yet here we are. I'm mostly being facetious here, but it is still crazy. That I hope somebody can dust off the old Blake Bortles facts account as he makes his Packers debut on Sunday. Hopefully, frankly, we don't have to see Blake Bortles actually on the field in any capacity, but it is still slightly surreal to see Blake Bortles in a Green Bay Packers uniform active on game day on Sunday. So we will get to all that in just a moment. We did have some other moves besides Blake Bortles being activated from the practice squad for this game. No other practice squad elevations. It was just Bortles. I think the biggest one that people were most looking for was David Bakhtiari. He is not elevated to the active roster on Saturday, which means a couple different things. Obviously, it means that he will not play on Sunday. It means that it's basically a foregone conclusion that at some point next week, he will be activated. Green Bay, if they don't activate him by next week, would have to shut him down for the season. There's no way they're going to do that. Even if he's not ready to play next week, they will 1,000,000% activate him and then make a decision if they just want to make him inactive on game day. So they have to move him from the, basically inactive list, from the PUP list into, so he's not on there, he's on the PUP list. So from the PUP list to the active roster, then even if he's not ready to play, they could make him inactive on game day and be fine, but they have to bring him up to the active roster next week at some point, or again, they would lose him for the season, and there's no way they're going to do that. So he will get called up next week, one way or the other. That doesn't guarantee that he will play next week, but that will happen. But it didn't happen on Saturday, which means, of course, that he will not be active. This is not a surprise to me. I continue to believe that they will be extremely cautious with David Bakhtiari in every way, shape, or form. And if they just felt it wasn't quite there yet, or he wasn't quite there yet, or maybe they want to give it one more week or start him at home and not on a different field, there's a variety of different things that could be at play here. But I think ultimately, if they feel they need 3, 4, 5 more weeks, so be it. I think it's way, way, way better to be, to err on the side of caution here rather than to bring him back too soon, especially when you have a player the caliber of Elton Jenkins that can fill in at left tackle. You would love your full complement of offensive linemen, from Bakhtiari to Jenkins to Turner to so on and so forth, but that's not the case this week. And again, Bakhtiari will be back sooner rather than later, but it will not be against the Kansas City Chiefs. However, we did get good news that MVS will be back, and he is activated and back on the active roster. So Green Bay will have its full complement of wide receivers after missing their top 3 a week ago. And this is certainly very important as Jordan Love makes his first start. He will have Adams, MVS, Lazard, Jones, Dillon. Really the only player on offense that's, Cobb, obviously. The only player that's missing is going to be probably Tunyon. Well, not probably. He will be missing is Tunyon, but that's the only real, player that they're going to be missing on offense from a weapons side of things. Of course, Myers, Bakhtiari still on the offensive line, but they should be more than capable on the offensive line, and having his full complement of wide receivers will certainly be beneficial for Jordan Love. The other big news with the roster these past few days really is that no new either positive COVIDs or players that needed to go on the COVID list due to being a close contact. That is a huge win for Green Bay, because that could have spiraled quickly where more and more players would have had to have gone on the COVID IR list, which again, thankfully was not the case. They should have everyone available for the most part on Sunday, and that's going to be, again, a huge benefit for Jordan Love as he's trying to make his first start. And I say everyone, of course, there's still, just Zadarius Smith, Jair Alexander, David Bakhtiari, Aaron Rodgers, so on and so forth, Robert Tunyon, just a few people still missing from this Packers team, but they should have more than enough players to make this game really fun and really competitive in what, again, the biggest storyline will certainly be Jordan Love's first start. So let's get to that. I'm not going to do my full normal 12 things to break down. I don't feel like we had a chance to really get into Jordan Love this past week, so I really want to spend some time putting together this sort of idea of a game plan for Jordan Love, what he needs to be to do successful, and how Green Bay can come out with a win in this game. Not only is this the first start for Jordan Love, but this is really a time for Matt LaFleur to shine. And I know a lot of people this week have been saying, listen, if he can win this game, he's got to be the front runner for Coach of the Year. To me, he should already be very much entrenched in that conversation. I know that maybe he's not technically, according to at least national media right now, but he has done such a tremendous job. And this is going to absolutely be an opportunity for him to shine in this game. He is such a masterful play caller and game plan designer, and I expect his ability to set up Jordan Love for success is going to really shine through in this game. And I don't know that that necessarily means that they win or put up a ton of points, but I think his brilliance as a play caller, play designer, game planner is all going to really show up as the Packers are able to move the ball and get points against the Chiefs, and not just points, but like I think they're going to put up a good number in this game. So I have full faith in Matt LaFleur of putting together a game plan that's going to be successful. And as I mentioned to Mike Wall the other day, I don't think it's going to be that dissimilar to the game plan that we saw for Aaron Rodgers this past week and against Arizona. And I think if you go back and watch that, there were so many screens and little 4x1 passes to the running back and just quick, easy reads, get the ball out of his hands. The more that he had to hold the ball against an Arizona defense without MVS and Devontae Adams and Alan Lazard, etc., it gave the Cardinals an advantage, right? So Matt LaFleur was very, very wise to really dial up a game plan that didn't have to produce a ton of medium to deep balls down the field. This was very much a pretty simple game plan that was allowing Aaron Rodgers to get the ball out of his hands and be a game manager. I know sometimes that gets thrown around as a negative connotation. It's not. It allows the quarterback really to be a point guard and sort of distribute everything to your playmakers within the offense. We saw that against Arizona. And I think that's going to be a very similar game plan for Jordan Love against Kansas City. I think we'll see a good, some pony package, which we saw this past week. I think we'll see some of those plays where you've got Dillon and Jones in the backfield, and Jones goes in motion behind blocking to the left, and Jordan Love is able to make a simple read down the field. All right, is there somebody going with him, or do I have the numbers over there? I've got the numbers over there. All right, I'm going to throw over there. If not, I'm just going to hand up the middle and let AJ Dillon go to work with the offensive line with limited numbers in the box. And then, oh, by the way, if all of a sudden they still have people down in the box and the numbers aren't over there, Devontae Adams is one-on-one on the other side. Those are situations and circumstances that Jordan Love, even as a young quarterback, is going to be able to read very easily. It spreads the field so much, and it gives you time to make those pre-snap reads. And even as the play's going on, it's just a simple mathematics, right? You don't have to read left, middle, right as the play is going on. You're simply counting simple numbers. All right, do I have as the play starts and I've got two players in the backfield, I've got even numbers in the box. If Aaron Jones goes out left and nobody follows him, I throw to Jones. If somebody does follow him and no safety comes down in the box and the safeties stay back, all right, that means I'm going to run with Dillon. If somebody goes with Jones and the safety does come down in the box, now I'm going Devontae Adams one-on-one on the right side. I expect there to be some reads like that where Jordan Love has the ability to make simple pre-snap processes to get to logical results and be able to make those in a split second without having to go through immensely complex decisions as the ball is snapped and so on and so forth. So I think some of that play design will come in very handy. We also saw last week a new wrinkle from Green Bay. It was it was basically a 4x1 formation. So there's three wide receivers out to the right. There's a tight end on the left side of the line, stacked on the line. And then you had a running back in the backfield. Usually it was Aaron Jones. And then Aaron Jones motioned out to the right side. And as he's motioning to the right, the receivers are, and usually the defensive backs are playing off. So the receivers are going down the field, and Jones is just making a beeline towards that side. The ball is snapped, and you quick hit Aaron Jones. And now it's a three, those three wide receivers are going to block the three corners. The person who's coming out to block Jones is getting a little bit of a delayed start. You hit him, and now he's got three on three blockers on corners usually ahead of him, and it's easy yardage. And then on the back side of that, if all of a sudden everything gets covered really quick, they had a tight end screen. In that situation, it was Tunyon, but it's easily something that could be thrown to DeGuara as well, or even Daphne, so on and so forth. they had a screen on the back end. So if all of a sudden that's covered, you had something to come back to. It's, again, a very, very simple read. If everything's covered over here, you don't throw to Jones, you come back to the tight end screen. If the linebacker is trying to aggressively get outside and just can't match the speed, you quick throw to Jones. There were a couple of those plays that Jones, if the blocking was a bit better, you could have had some explosive plays because Green Bay had the Cardinals outnumbered in those situations. Now, Kansas City will be prepared for that and figuring that out. But it wouldn't surprise me to see that wrinkle in this game plan as well, or something off of it that, all of a sudden you fake the screen to Jones, and as they come down to attack, maybe you throw down the field a little bit. But that 4-by-1 formation was very, very successful a week ago, and it wouldn't surprise me if we saw more of it. We saw a ton of screenplays against Arizona. Would not shock me if we saw more screenplays, and they used it to everyone, right? That we saw a wide receiver screen to Juwan Winfrey. That was more of a smoke screen, but we saw tight end screen to it was Josiah DeGuara who had the tight end screen. I think there might have been a couple of them. And then we saw running back screens. A couple didn't work, but we saw a multitude of screens in that game. I would expect the same thing out of Matt LaFleur this week, again, with Jordan Love making his first start at quarterback. I would expect a lot of maybe 2 tight end sets or a tight end and H-back. I'd expect to see a lot of Lewis, DeGuara, Dominique Daphne in this game. I think they're going to try to get some formations that potentially are advantageous to running the football. And if all of a sudden that doesn't work, then it's going to really tip the defense's tendency to Matt LaFleur early in the game. And if you see the opposing defense, if you see Kansas City's defense come out in heavy sets against that group, then you might see some 5 wide stuff with DeGuara and Daphne both amongst those that are out wide lined up. So I think we're going to see Matt LaFleur again be able to use his ability to read what Kansas City's defense is doing early and kind of design off of that. I would also expect there to be a lot of situations where, just like last week, Matt LaFleur is scheming up different plays to get the ball out of Jordan Love's hands quickly. I think, defense. I would very much expect Kansas City's defense to be ultra aggressive and coming after Jordan Love and showing him different and unique things that he probably hasn't seen on the field and has to react to. One of the things that I noted in my scouting breakdown when I watched all of Jordan Love's last 2 seasons in college was that, there's a few different ways that you can attack him. And one of the things is just basically trying to confuse him at the line of scrimmage. And I would very much expect Kansas City's defense to try to do that with a variety of blitzes, zone blitzes, people dropping, people coming, and see if Jordan Love can make the most of that. And to counter, I would expect Matt LaFleur to really dial up as much, all right, what can we do to get the ball out of Jordan Love's hands quickly so that he doesn't have to diagnose and figure all of this out on the fly in his very first game on the road in a noisy environment. Of course, expect Green Bay to try to run the football a ton, and maybe a ton's the wrong word, but to really try to establish the run to make things easier on Jordan Love. I think the defense plays a role here too. I know it's Patrick Mahomes. I know it's Tyreek Hill. I know it's Travis Scott. I know this Chiefs offense can have the ability to be very explosive, right? But it's going to be paramount to Green Bay's success in this game that this doesn't become a shootout or you're down, 21-7, early in this game or something like that. You get to that point, and now all of a sudden, all of that game plan we just talk about almost goes out the window, right? Because you got to start throwing on every play and try to get back and those sort of things. So it's going to really be up to the defense too to make this so that Kansas City's offense isn't putting those explosive video game numbers up on the board so that Jordan Love has to match point for Patrick Mahomes. I think Jordan Love's going to have success in this game, but that is not a recipe for success. If this becomes a shootout, it is a high probability win for Kansas City. So you have to avoid that at all costs. And then what's Jordan Love's role in all this? I think the biggest thing for him, don't try to do too much and just stay patient. And if there's one propensity that Jordan Love can have at time to get himself into trouble, it's not staying patient and trying to make too much out of something that's simply not there. And that can be a tough lesson to learn for a young quarterback. But in this game, especially, you cannot have turnovers and give Patrick Mahomes and this Chiefs offense the ball in advantageous situations and put the defense in really difficult spots. So if all of a sudden Jordan Love has 2-3 picks in this game, it's going to be really, really difficult for Green Bay to win. So in a game plan that's likely to be tailored for, easy decisions, Jordan Love's still going to have some ad lib plays, where he needs to get out of the pocket and make decisions. And it's paramount to Green Bay's success that he makes smart, educated football decisions, doesn't try to force too much, and just lets kind of the game come and kind of go from there, right? There's a time and a place for taking chances, and if you're down by 10, fourth quarter, whatever, so be it. But until that point, and until it would get there, play within the offense. Don't try to do too much and be patient. And I think that will have an opportunity to be a real, game plan for success for Jordan Love. How do I think this ends up? I'm going to say 28-23 Chiefs. Luckily for everyone listening, every time I've picked against the Packers this year, I have been wrong. So hopefully we can keep that streak going. I do think tough environment on the road. Jordan Love making his first start. A lot of key Packers out in this game. I still think it's going to be difficult to win. But and frankly, just this whole week was a bit of a distraction as well. But I think Green Bay has a great opportunity here. I think Jordan Love is going to go out and perform and have a good game. I think they're going to put up enough points to have a chance to win. I think Green Bay's defense matches up much better with Kansas City than I think people might expect. So I expect this to be a close and entertaining game, and one that I am incredibly looking forward to as we get to see Jordan Love for his first time making a start in the NFL. And Jordan Love, Patrick Mahomes has the opportunity to be a lot of fun as well. So I'm going to enjoy the heck out of this game. Definitely think Green Bay has an opportunity to win. Definitely hope that I'm wrong, and you can call me an idiot tomorrow in the comments once again, because I've been getting way too many of these wrong. But I'm going to go 28-23 Chiefs. I'm going to say Jordan Love's final stat line, 18 of 25, 240 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. That's going to do it for me today. Enjoy this game. Jordan Love's first start. No matter what happens, whether it's great or awful, it doesn't necessarily mean that that's what it's going to be moving forward. There's a lot of learning still to do for Jordan Love, and he's going to get better after this point. And again, even if he goes out and throws for 350 yards and 4 touchdowns and no picks, doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be the next in the line of Favre to Rodgers to Love. But obviously, first impressions are always really fun, and we're going to get to see exactly what that first impression looks like for Jordan Love in today's game. Thanks so much for joining me. Always appreciate it. I'll be right back here tomorrow recapping the game. But until next time, and as always, go Pack Go.